We've come to the fourth week of Advent, which gives us this year the longest celebration of Advent possible on the liturgical calendar. 4 full weeks, a little more waiting and hoping. This Sunday's lectionary gives us the story of a life-changing dilemma in the life of Joseph of Nazareth. I admit that I had not previously ascribed as much importance to the call of Joseph as to Mary's call in the history of our salvation. In fact, I hadn't ever really considered Joseph as having had a call in the sense of Mary's call in the Annunciation, until I began to seriously ponder the Gospel reading for this fourth Sunday of Advent. Chapter 1 of Matthew's Gospel does have its climax in the call of Joseph, just as the call of Mary is the high point of the first chapter of the Gospel of Luke. I believe there is a sense in which the focus of tomorrow's Gospel is on the Annunciation of Joseph. Matthew is very intentional in chapter 1, since he is writing for Jewish Christians who are being marginalized by the traditional Jewish communities of his day. The long genealogy that opens Matthew's Gospel begins with Abraham and ends with Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called the Messiah. Joseph's ancestry from the house of David is critically important to the author of Matthew's Gospel. Now, Joseph was a law-abiding Jew of Davidic lineage who embodied the best of Jewish tradition, a tradition that was all about keeping the law as a way to live with God. So when discovering that Mary, to whom he was engaged, was pregnant and not with his child, Joseph knew that Jewish law mandated them to divorce. But divorce, he realized, would bring more than shame upon Mary. And he also knew another part of his Jewish heritage, that the law was to be tempered by mercy. So instead of exposing Mary to a public divorce, he decided to send her away quietly. This would be the best decision for both of them. But, Matthew writes, just when he had resolved to do this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him. Hearing the words of the angel, who announced that he should take Mary as his wife, he must have been just as perplexed as was Mary when the angel announced to her that she was to have a child. Do not be afraid, the angel said to Joseph. Joseph was being asked to do something unlawful in order to bring to fulfillment that for which God's people had yearned for centuries, the coming of a Messiah from the house of David. I believe this is a striking moment in Joseph's life. He thought he had decided to do what was right. All that he knew of his life, his Jewish faith, and the law to which he had been committed was being questioned in the moment, was being turned upside down. This annunciation by the angel was inviting him to forsake his decision to do the right thing as he understood it, in order to participate in a greater call, a larger story. Do not be afraid. Mary will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, for he will save his people. In my imagination, the angel might have added, and you, Joseph, are called to care for, to protect, and to raise this child that is not your own. There is a life lesson for each of us in Joseph's call. Undoubtedly, we've all had some kind of experience in our lives when we thought we were on the right track, doing all the right things, always ready to act in good faith, and then God threw us a curveball. Perhaps an unexpected illness, or the community's call to obedience, or the loss of a lifelong dream, or a shattered relationship, when we've had to turn ourselves around to hear God's words. Do not be afraid, and to be reassured that all in God's design for each of us is just part of a larger call and the ultimate story of our salvation. Thank you, Joseph, for letting go of self in order to take, with Mary, that giant leap of faith for the salvation of our world.